Hello, you're with the Arty Mummy and 365 Days of Art with Lorna Scobie, number 36. And today our prompt is to paint the ocean from your imagination. And as you can see here, my page has some marks on it from the following page, which I allowed my 8-year-old daughter to do, which was to fill a page with things that are the colour red. And we have a bit of bleed through there, so in part I'm just going to ignore that, and in part I'm going to try to incorporate it into the painting. So just having a look at this page and thinking I'm going to just take some good watercolour practice and go very, very lightly with some colours and gently, lightly rough out where I want my sand to be and where I want my ocean to be and where the shoreline and horizon will be before I put anything that's going to be too hard to paint over or lose too much of my what's left of my white paper. So that's best practice with watercolour. Basically, just start light and build in layers. So I've just popped in some yellow ochre for the sand colour and taken that up the page a little bit on the left. Then a little bit of greenery, and now I'm starting to define my horizon line and pop in where the ocean's going to be. Now, working from the horizon line forward, allowing the colour to go from darker to lighter, because the further away you are when you're painting the ocean, the darker it should be, and usually the lighter colours up closer, because the water becomes more transparent and is reflecting less of the sky colour as you're getting closer. And then we're going to pop in some of the sky as well in the same colour but lighter. Now, if that was decent watercolour paper, dabbing off with the paper towel there would have created some clouds, but that's a nice little tip I wanted to share with you, but did not work on this paper. Didn't make it the slightest little bit of difference, so never mind, we keep going. And just grabbing a little bit more of that blue, and I'm going to work with a smaller brush now and start putting some definition into the water. Like I said, getting darker colour further away and lighter closer. And it's a good idea if you've got a shoreline this kind of shape to curve your waves as you're coming closer. You can see me sort of putting those in there and sort of follow the shoreline with your line of the brush, and that will give you a nicer look than just straight across. And just defining that horizon line a little bit more and building the colour in layers. So I had the lighter green there just to give myself a guideline of where that far horizon island or shoreline is, and I'm just adding some darker colours in there, not completely covering what's underneath because you want those layers to build and add depth. And we're just going to pop a little bit of greenery on the left and the right there to frame the shoreline and give building a little bit of a picture in there. And now just in some darker tones and adding a little bit of purple will give some nice shadows underneath those trees. Now, to tackle that red spot, I think we're going to try and make a little red dinghy on the beach there. Just bringing up a almost triangular shape, and I'll work in the U shape, semicircle shape of the back of the boat, and then the point going away, so that shape there should work okay. And we'll just add shadow and definition to that as much as possible without taking too long about it. And just using that dark red and purple with a little bit of grey to get the darker tones in there. Pop a little bit of mask on. Probably not sure I should have done that, but it was easier than it was at the time. So this paper's been a bit of a struggle this time with the red showing through from the other side. It was a bit of a distraction. So working with what I have, pop a little bit of a folded up sail and a flag on the mast, adding a little bit more shadow and a little bit more depth to the boat. And then I'm going to go in with, I think, some darker colours in the scenery again, just to add a little bit more because it's had a chance to dry. Bring some branches in and some shadows into those trees and bushes, and just like I said, just the trick to watercolour, and it doesn't matter, this is not going to be a masterpiece or anything to brag about, but the lesson here really is just to practice building colours and practice getting that depth in by just adding layers and building depth, not completely covering what's underneath, and working with what you have. Anything, even a big red spot in the middle of your page, can be a happy accident. So, tip of the day, happy accidents. And I think all things considered, this being I think it took me no longer than 15 minutes in total, start to finish. Not a bad little painting that could possibly one day be taken to a canvas or a larger paper to do something a bit more detailed and a bit more finished. So it's a nice idea with trees. Once you've got them to that sort of half finished stage, you can get some much more pigmented paint and just do little dots on them, and that'll provide a lot more depth and shadow sort of feeling with very little effort. And then I've just grabbed some white and added some detail to that boat and taken away some of that real darkness about it, give it a little bit of definition, and that also helps the shadow to really come out too and give it some shape and some dimension. And that's it, all finished and done. I hope you found something in this video useful or helpful, or some kind of tip that you might be able to use for yourself. Let me know how you did with this one, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time with number 39. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.